that is called as the discretionary access control measure. This is the first we are going to cover. Then we will talk about the mandatory access control protocol, and then we will talk about the role based access control protocol. This particular module is having only this much: role based access control measures, mandatory access control, and the last one is the discretionary access control. So only these three control measures are there in this particular module. So one by one we will cover. So first of all, what do you mean by this discretionary access control? See, this discretionary access control, this discretionary access control is an approach which will put the control of an object into the hands of a person who has created it. Mean to see, each object will have its own owner. For example, just now we have taken an example that if I am saying I am having an object v1, so this object v1 is having its own owner. Suppose I am naming this particular owner as a, right? If I am saying I am having a object v2, this particular object is having its own owner. Suppose I am naming it as b. Likewise, if I am having v3, this particular object is having its own owner if I am naming it as c, right? So this is the scenario in the discretionary access measures. So here the discretionary access control will have its own, this kind of access control measures will have its own owner who will select the access control policy for the object. Means what? If I am saying this is the object and this is the owner, so he will decide, this particular owner will decide what to do and who can access this particular object. This particular object v1 will be accessed by which particular user and will not be accessed by which particular user, and if I am allowing a particular user to use it, then up to what extent this particular object will be available to that particular user, that also decided by this particular what I can say owner, right? Because this particular owner has created this particular object v1. Okay, just now I have given you this example that if I am saying a user, sorry, if I am saying the user A might see X but not Y, and user B might be able to see Y but not X. So just now I told you a user A might be able to view V1 but will not be able to view V2. In the same way, if a user B might be able to view or access V2 but will not be able to access V1, right? So this is completely dependent on this particular type of measure is completely dependent on the viewer or the user who has created it. Now, so this is the actual definition of what I can say that this discretionary access control or DAC. The definition of this discretionary access control is this: each user will have its own view or each objects will have its own owner, right? But when it comes to the practicality, when we want to integrate or when we want to implement these integrity constraints in our system, then how to build that, right? If I am saying if I want to incorporate these security constraints while designing the databases and preventing the unauthorized access to our data, then how we can do that? So for that purpose we will be requiring any kind of language. Either you can use SQL, either you can use the other like MongoDB, the Oracle. Likewise, so you can use any kind of languages to create the integrity constraints, but here I am not going to create the integrity constraints. Instead of that, I am going to create what I can say the permissions, the security constraints instead of this integrity or security constraints. I am going to create what I can say the permissions. I am going to create the permissions which will allow something. So it is different than the integrity constraints. Integrity constraint means what? In data warehousing also we have seen there we were having the multiple dimensional tables, and those multiple dimensional tables are connected to the fact tables. Those multiple dimension tables are connected to the fact tables. So there the integrity constraint comes into picture, where I need to integrate multiple tables into the what I can say I need to integrate multiple table to the single fact table. So that is integrity constraint already I have spoken about this particular topic also, what do you mean by integrity constraints. But here I am not going to talk about the integrity constraint. Here I am going to speak about the permissions, right? Because this access control will have the permission, so the permission only will be allowed, or the permission only will be able to tackle the different scenarios or different access measures. So here I will take an example. Here you can see this particular example, permission sp1, which will be, here I am having 4 lines of codes. Permission sp1, first I will read it out. Permission sp1, then grant select student name s address, means student address and course id on students, and last one to the operator. So everything whatever here has been specified, first I will make you clear about this, right, and then we'll move on. So here you can see whatever the permission I want to provide, first of all I need to give the name to that permission. So there is a syntax to this. First I will speak about syntax and then I will talk about this example. You can see here I am having this syntax. That syntax will make you more clear. See, this syntax is this: what permission name, right, then privilege separated by the comma, then the relation name, and then the user list separated by the comma. So this is the, what I can say, the syntax: permission name, privilege separated by the comma, relation name, and the user list separated by the comma. So this is the syntax. By this syntax I need to use whenever I am going to give any kind of permission in my access measures. So during that time, whatever the access measures I am going to give, for those access measures I need to use this kind of syntax. Okay, so here you can see now I am giving the permission, and the name of the permission is this. The name of the permission is sp1. You are able to see here, I hope so. sp1 student permission 1, that is the meaning. sp1 means what? Student permission. S for student, p for permission, student permission 1, right? Then I am going to create grant, and I am going to select whatever the attributes which I want to select, right? Then on which particular table, on which particular relation I want to apply this, that relation also I need to select, and then to the operator, right? Now what do you mean by this operator? This operator is nothing but, what I can say, whatever the relation we are going to whatever the relation the on which the permissions are being applied as are specified by this on clause, means on the relation, and this operator is actually the users on to which the specified what I can say, the specified privileges are to be granted. That is called, those are nothing but the destined operators or destined relations, I can say. Okay, I'll read it out one more time so that there should not be any confusion. So this, here you can see, this will make you more clear. A, whatever sp1 we have given, that is the student permission 1, right? Then the set of privileges which we are going to specify by using the grant clause, this particular lines of this particular line, the second line, this particular line. Then on which particular relation, or on which particular table I want to specify, that I am going to write. And lastly, whatever the set of users, means operators, where we want to grant the specified privileges, that is also we need to specify. So here I have taken as an example as operator. Okay, then. So whatever what I can say, the syntax here I have written, that is permission, whatever the permission name you want to specify, then grant whatever the privilege list separated by the comma, then on whatever the relation name or table name that we need to specify, and to the operator I have taken it as a user. So on whatever the users you want to specify it, or whatever the privileges to which particular user you want to specify, that I need to write. Okay. So here for the example you can see here what I have done. I have given the permission, and which particular permission I have given. So you can see this particular permission I have given means what? I have granted the permission to view this particular data. Student name, course ID, sorry, student name, the student address means as the student name, as address, and course ID. This particular table, this particular attributes, and those particular columns, this particular operator can view. Which particular operator? This which particular user? That username is operator. Which this particular operator or user can view this particular data. Okay, so that is the access control measure, the discretionary access control measures. Now we'll add to something to this so that I will make you more clear. So whatever I have tried to tell you, the same has been written here. You can read it out later on, but for the sake of time I will read it out to give you more clarity. It can be seen that preceding example that the user operator is granted the privilege only to select some particular values from the student relation. Just now I have told you the operator is the user. This user has given the permission to access student name, to access student address, and to to access course ID. This particular attribute or this particular columns that particular user operator can access, right? So this should and delete a student entry from the table, because here I have missed it out. This particular here I have written one more term that is called as delete. Here I have written, you can see I have written here delete. So that particular entry this user operator can delete. Okay, then however, if suppose, now let me go in detail about this. Yeah, suppose, however, suppose this particular user operator want to insert or update a particular value in this particular table, right? Then how will it get permitted? Because I am what measure we have given or what access we have given, that particular user operate the name of the user is operator. That operator can access or can delete some entries from the student table. What was the table? The table name was student. So that particular student, from that table this user operator can delete the entry for the column student name, student address, and course ID. Suppose he want to update or insert some values in those columns. Then what we are going to do? Are we going to permit that? No, no, no. We are not going to permit that. We are simply going to reject that particular attempt. We are going to reject that particular attempt, or we are going to display the error message, so that you cannot access that particular data. Number of times you are able to see this particular message whenever you are trying to use what I can say, whenever you are able, whenever you people are using any kind of online applications. Suppose you are trying to access something and that is not permitted for the normal user, then the pop-up message is blown. That is the error message that you are not what I can say authorized to access that particular page. So that is nothing but this, to the in that database these kind of access control measures are being implemented. That is the meaning. Okay, so this is the access control the discretionary access control measure, right? Now suppose, because so, whatever the user, either the unauthorized or authorized user, if I am giving the whole control, or if I am giving the whole the access of the whole database, then the authorized user also will be a threat to the system. Forget about the unauthorized user, but the authorized user also can do lots of things that we have discussed in the security risk in the last lecture. So one more example. Now if I want to drop this permission name, whatever the permission we are going to create, if I want to drop that permission, so this is the syntax: drop permission and permission name. Now whatever the permission we have created, we are having, we can revoke that permission, right? And this may be done by using this kind of syntax: drop permission, permission name. Now here you can see create view stud as create student, create stud, that is this stud is nothing but the view which I am going to create. Now you already know what do you mean by view, because view you people have already studied in the dbms. So it is a procedure in the database, and which will get triggered when some particular event has occurred. So that is the view, right? Now select enrollment, then first name, student address and course id from student, where the student address is Kolkata. And one more permission I am going to declare. So you can see here that permission name, the permission is ps2 permission, the student permission 2 sp2, or here the spelling mistake is there, it is sp2 student permission 2. So here I have written ps2. Now then I am going to apply grant select and on stud to operation 1 and operator 2. Mean to say this operator 1 and operator 2, you can see this operator 1 and operator 2 can access the student information, but only for those students who resides in Kolkata. That is the meaning, right? So what I am trying to tell you, the way of writing the things is this. In this way we are supposed to write in our whatever SQL language we are going to write by using the SQL queries. So in this way we need to create the views so that it will be implemented in terms of the access control, right? And the user, whatever the operator 1 and operator 2 can access the student information, but to the only information which the student operators can access it by using the what I can say, the students who are residing in Kolkata. Okay. Now one more thing. Suppose if I want to include the when clause in this syntax, if I want to include the when clause in this particular syntax, whatever we are going to study or we are studying, if I want to apply this particular term when clause, then where we are going to use this when clause? Suppose I want to do the permission of this ps3 or sp3, the permission sp3, there suppose if the operator 3, here you can see this operator 3 I have taken. So this operator 3, this operator 3 can access our pages only in the weekdays, or he can able to update the pages during the weekdays. So what I have provided here, you can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all are weekdays. In the weekend the operator 3 is not allowed to access, or is not allowed to update our database or our system. So during only 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. he is allowed to update or modify the pages in the weekdays only. In the weekend, that particular operator 3 as a user is not allowed to modify or to update the pages in our system. So this is the example of the what I can say discretionary access control. Okay, hope so you people have got it whatever I have tried to tell you. If you are having anything to ask